Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this conversation. I think we can kick things off by just introducing ourselves and the work that we do.
Hi, everyone. Nupol Kiazolu. I'm 19 years old. I'm the president of Black Lives Matter Greater New York, founder and CEO of my national campaign Vote 2000 and Miss Liberia USA.
Awesome.
Hello, my name is Jasilyn. I'm from Indigenous, South Dakota. I am the co-founder of Seventh Offenders, a grassroots organization based out of the Cheyenne River Sioux Reservation. I'm also on the steering committee of Stop the Money Pipeline and a member of Earth Guardians and a co-founder of IOIC.
That's awesome. My name is Jamie Margolin. I'm an 18-year-old climate justice organizer, co-founder of the International Youth Climate Justice Organization 0 Hour, and a plaintiff suing my Washington state government over their continual worsening of the climate crisis. So young people are holding the Washington state accountable. And so let's go into, I guess, a little bit about what is it that you're all working in right now? Like, what are the fights that you guys are working on right now? And then we're gonna go more into like how these intersect, but why don't Nupol, you start? Like, what is it that you're working on right now? What is it, what's happening right now in the Black Lives Matter movement or in your specific Black Lives Matter in New York City that people should know about?
Absolutely. So right now, Black Lives Matter Greater New York has been organizing around the COVID-19 pandemic, and specifically how COVID-19 disproportionately affects Black and Brown communities across the country. For New York State, Black Lives Matter Greater New York has written a petition to Governor Cuomo and sent out an open letter as well, demanding that they release the ratio of the mortality rate of the people that are dying from COVID by race. But in order to effectively have that information, we need more COVID testing centers implement Black and Brown communities. So that was one of our main demands as well. And we released it about 2 weeks ago. And Governor Cuomo did respond the next day saying that he will, in fact, implement more testing in Black and Brown communities. So, like, a lot of people ask me, what are some tangible ways we can help right now amidst this coronavirus pandemic? That's one really important way, because in order to effectively combat this that we're going through right now. So we were able to draft up a demand letter, create a petition to put pressure on Governor Cuomo and elected officials, and we were able to get tangible results. And that is something that people all across the country can do. That's something that young people can get involved in. Like I said, I'm 18, and I'm very capable, and you're very capable of putting the necessary pressure on your elected officials to do their job. So that's what LMNY has been doing, working, and I really suggest that you guys uplift and support any organization that's doing it, or you can even start with yourself, because change starts with you.
Right on. Jasilyn, what are you working on right now?
I'm working on quite a few things, some around the COVID-19 pandemic. A lot of it has, very impacted the reservations and Native Americans, and not only on my reservation, but reservations, across the United States. And a part of that is that we don't receive, the money, the responses that, a lot of the states receive on COVID-19. And so we aren't receiving a lot of funds to, help progressively protect our reservations or protect our people. So we have been implementing, as our own sovereign, reservation, we have been implementing our own, border patrol. Our borders are completely closed right now. No one's allowed to leave. No one's allowed to come in, unless you're a tribal member or you have, proof of residence here on our land. And there are no cases here on COVID. I'm praying. We're very lucky. Yeah. Also, we are seeing other reservations, like the Nupol reservation, who have been implemented so much and been impacted so much by COVID-19. And when it does reach us, we want to be prepared. We want to have the necessary precautions and protective gear that our elders, because we are so spread out on the reservations, to where we don't have access. Indeed, there's not a police station here, and there isn't a hospital here. The nearest hospital is about 2 hours right away. And so one of the things that we are implementing here as seventh offenders, we are, creating gardens here on the lighter side of things to create food sovereignty in food deserts that, a lot of, underprivileged, Americans are dealing with right now. And a lot of people who don't have work right now, a lot of people who don't have access to fresh foods or don't have the means to get to the stores. And so right now we are trying to implement with our own tribal government how we can safely, serve our people in outer communities, because it is different when you live into towns that have grocery stores near you and that you can get to the hospital safely. And it's definitely a different environment when you live so far from these resources and so far from help. And so we are trying to implement and bring these resources to the people that really need it. And most of our elderly live outside of our town. So, and these are the people that we're trying to protect. And on the more darker side of that, there has been reports, local reports from here, people in my community at the border. I live near the border of our reservation. So right now there have been reports of equipment, KXL equipment, and temporary housing for people who watch over the equipment going past and going through our lands. And that equipment can be contaminated because it's coming from Sioux Falls and Rapid City, from these hot spots of COVID-19. And so what we're trying to implement is putting pressure on our tribal governments to, reach out to the outlying counties so we can all stand in solidarity and stand up to our Governor Kristi Noem, who has offered our state up to experimental, an experimental drug for the COVID-19. Oh, wow. And so also something that has rattled our community very much, and a lot of the reservations, the Rosebud Reservation, the Standing Rock Reservation, and the Pine Ridge Reservation, their borders. And that's something that has, to protect ourselves, because obviously our state isn't willing to take the necessary precautions to protect the bigger amount of our population, which is Native American. And so that's something that we're working on right now. And we're monitoring our borders and making sure that people who are monitoring our borders, which is young people, have the right necessary needs to feed themselves, to get to and from work, and to have protection to protect themselves, because these are our young people that are manning our borders and are keeping our community safe.
Wow. That's a lot of incredible work that both of you are doing, and I can imagine it's really difficult. I guess just to quickly touch on right now what I'm working on and what 0 Hour is working on is a lot of it is just digital education campaigns for folks who really want to get involved with the climate crisis, but we're all stuck at home. Most of us are inside, and so there is really no way to actually go out and take action. So we launched a campaign called Getting to the Roots, where every Friday we're doing webinars, and then throughout the week we're doing live streams, graphics, educational posts, and press releases and things like that, each week focusing on a different system of oppression that caused the climate crisis. So the first week was racism, and we talked about the intersections of racism and the climate crisis. The second week was patriarchy, and we talked about how sexism intertwines with the climate crisis. Last week was colonialism. This week we're just focusing on Earth Day, and then we're gonna go into the next systems next week. And so that's really what we've been working on. And then we're launching a campaign on Earth Day called Getting to the Roots of the Green New Deal, where we're pretty much debunking myths about the Green New Deal, and talking about how there's a lot of misinformation, I guess, in the public of trying to fear mongering about climate action. And so that's really, I guess, what we're working on, is trying to combat that misinformation as much as possible, using the digital tools, webinars, other things that we can, being as grassroots as possible while most of us are separated, because most of our members live in big cities, and so we're all kind of separated in our homes. So that's really what we're working on. So I guess something really important for us to touch on is each of us are in different movements. Technically, we're all in a greater movement for justice for people, but I'm in a youth mobilizing and like youth national organizing for climate. Jasilyn does a lot of like grassroots work protecting Indigenous communities and fighting pipelines, and you and Nupol are in Black Lives Matter. So I guess I'd like for us to wrap up this conversation of how do all of our fights intertwine? Like, I think for a lot of people, it might be confusing of like, why is an organizer from Black Lives Matter on this climate call? Like, what does this have to do with it? So I'd love to go around and say, like, I guess why we're all here together and how our fights or our organizing really intersects, and why all movements are necessary, and why we have this intersectionality on an Earth Day live stream.
So definitely. So first, I like to say climate justice is social justice. The things that a lot of climate justice people fight for are the same things that we, as people in the Black Lives Matter movement, fight for. When you talk about food deserts and Black and brown communities and not having access to healthy food, the CO2 emissions that disproportionately impact that. Can I start over? Are they going to edit this?
Yeah, they can edit this. Also, you're moving your camera a lot, and it's like cutting in and out. If you can, like,
Okay. All right. So I definitely like to say that climate. Can you?
Yeah. Start over one more time. Sorry.
All right. Sorry. All right. So first and foremost, I definitely like to say climate justice is social justice. Those definitely intersect. A lot of the things that Black organizers fight for are a lot of the things that Black and brown people in the climate justice movement fight for. When it comes to food deserts, when it comes to the air and how it disproportionately affects communities of color and poor communities in the country. There's like all those different things in Black and brown communities. So it's definitely imperative that the climate and social justice movement coalesce together in order to effectively fight this fight that we're so yeah, like that, I say that we as organizers and activists, we share a lot of things in common in terms of the fight, and ultimately it's a fight for humanity. So it's imperative that we all find a common ground to work together and just go up systems of oppression that we have here across the world, in order to make sure that we have a chance for, at a future and our kids and everything like that. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Definitely. Jasilyn, what do you think?
Well, I've had like these discussions and a lot of panels, and it's all about like the evolution of movements in general. That we need such a diverse movement. We need people from everywhere coming to the table and bringing something new to the table constantly, because not one movement, not one progressive approach is going to work for everybody. Not everybody should be using the same format for each movement. Everything is diverse. We all have we all live in different areas. We all have different ethnicities, different religions, and to have something that is continually evolving, like we are in our own humanity, in our own mindset, that we are continuing to be open-minded, that we continue to reach out to each other via, using social media that we didn't have years ago, to connect to people, to connect our causes, and to reach out to people and to find, resilience in each other and to find a common ground. And so I think it all interlocks because we all are connected to each other in everything that we do. Your action in daily life affects somebody else, and their action in daily life is going to affect us. And so when we realize the effect that we have on each other, and it may be, social justice, it may be climate justice, it may be, Native American rights, it may be Black rights, it may be, the rights for, for women, but it is all interconnected, because it all needs to be diverse, because we're all diverse human beings, and not one solution is going to work for everybody. We need to come to a common ground and put our minds together in such a diverse way that this movement, this ever-evolving movement of social and climate justice, evolves to the point where it can fit other people that we haven't reached out to, that maybe not be on this call, that may resonate to something that we say, but might have a different point of view that might work for everybody else. And so that's why I think that interlocking and interconnecting and creating this network that we have, and creating this synapses to create this network of social climate and like just for humanity is so crucial for our involvement to make a better future for ourselves. So that's kind of like the point of view on it.
Yeah, just to quickly piggyback off of what she just said, it's really, really important to recognize that there's not one way to be an activist or organizer. You can in so many different ways. You don't always have to be on the front lines like us, because quite frankly, the front lines can be a very dangerous place. You have to go up against a lot of people, trolls on the internet and in real life. Like, it's not always not everyone has the mental capacity to. So I want people to recognize that whatever talents you have to offer that you know help the movement, please contribute. You're an artist, like you can do posters and graphics for us. Like if you're a singer, you can sing at the protest to keep us motivated. Poetry, like there's so many can contribute to the movement, and there's so many ways that we come together as a collective to combat these issues that we face at not just people but humanity. I just really want people to recognize the humanity of each of these movements, and if we can come as a people to realize that this is something that affects every single one of us, then I believe that we can go far together.
Yeah, and I think something that, to wrap everything up, something that everyone watching should take away from this is that activism looks different for everyone. We assembled this panel, and I'm doing work that's pretty different than what Nupol is doing, that's pretty different than what Jasilyn is doing, but all of our work is important in its own way, and so no one's work is above or below anyone else's work, and everyone is needed, and so you don't have to be doing the exact same things as everyone else. And in the climate movement, you don't have to pick between, I'm going to be a climate activist, or I'm going to fight for Black Lives Matter, or I'm going to fight for Indigenous rights, or I'm going to fight for women's rights, because it's all interconnected. And this is what we really wanted you all to take away from this conversation, is that we all might be different, but we are united in the same fight. Our work might look different, but we're all united in the same fight. And I think, lastly, to finish it off, let's go around and just say like a quick where people can find us if they want to plug in and get involved. So I can get started. If you guys want to get involved with 0 Hour and our digital education campaigns and the work that we're doing around climate justice there, you can go to thisis0hour.org or follow us, just This is 0 Hour, just the @ and then This is 0 Hour on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. There on our website and on our socials, you'll find where to plug in, get involved, sign up for webinars, sign up to volunteer, and we'd be happy to have you.
Okay, so if you have any questions or would like to get involved with the Black Lives Matter movement in New York, you can follow us at BLM Greater NY on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and I'm president of Black Lives Matter Group in New York. So if you have any questions for me or you want to email me, whatever, you can find me on Instagram at Nupol_justice, NUPOL_justice, and the same thing on Twitter.
Awesome.
All right, if you want to follow my work and work like mine, go to IOIC on Facebook or Instagram, and Earth Guardians, Facebook or Instagram. And if you want to follow my work personally, Seventh Offenders on Facebook, and you can find me on social media at Jasilyn Charger.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining, and thank you for this amazing conversation. You both, just Jasilyn and Nupol, you both personally are like heroes of mine, so I love the work that you do, and I'm so honored to be in this movement with you all. I love you so much, and hopefully once this virus is over, we can see each other again in person soon.